Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. I'm Chris Burdick, the Seattle Mariner fan over there, Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
That's me.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we got another jam-packed show on this eventful week of Early Bird Special. We'll dig into the NBA Finals, of course, and we've got our boys over at the Bentley Bulls coming in at 7:30 to pump up a Yelp event that they have this coming Thursday. Plus, we could talk a little basketball with them, and we'll talk wrestling with our guy, 24KG, ahead of talking to Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan later this week, kicking off tomorrow with Mommy at 7 a.m. Plus, we have a new sponsor, and I've got some comments to throw in on that. Plus, you can call or jump in anytime at 661-842-2000. Our phones do work. Not over here, but our phones do work.
Yeah, we've been having technical issues for the last 24 to 48 hours at this radio station, and unfortunately, our sister station has taken a lot of the punishment. But Sparky is correct. Our phone line still works, 661-842-2000. So if you want to chime in on anything we're talking about, or if you want to complain about something Scott Cox is talking about, feel free. We love to talk about Scott too. So we got to get to this NBA Finals game, because everybody is absolutely up in arms saying that the refs stole it from them. Sparky, the refs ruined it. Oh, man, the streets of New York were fighting yesterday because they just couldn't take the fact that the Knicks lost. God, get over it. I swear to God, I'm so over this. Can we stop blaming the referees for everything, please? Now, don't get me wrong. Did they play favorites last night? Absolutely. There was an absolute slug to the back of the head of Jalen Brunson that didn't get called as a flagrant. That was ridiculous. Now, would it have changed anything? No, because it's Victor Wembanyama, and they're not going to suspend and or throw the guy out of the game.
Not again.
So, yeah, not again. Not in the finals. Not going to happen. And, the second flagrant of Stephon Castle running through Jalen Brunson, I looked at that and said, no. That's a basketball play. He's
clearly a regular foul.
Yeah, he's going for the rebound. So everybody's, up in armsness, including head coach Mike Brown saying, I've never seen this in a finals game. 24 free throws to 8. Get over it, brother. You still only lost by 4. 115, 111, and you can't sit there and tell me that you didn't have a chance to take this game. You went into halftime with the lead. So can the Knicks fans just take a dang breather? No one's against you. You just lost the streak. It's okay. You won 13 games in a row. I'm pretty sure everybody's kind of okay with you losing 1.
I still got Knicks at 6.
I know, and I don't blame you whatsoever.
And I will just mention, now that DraftKings is our sponsor of the Early Bird Special, I was a little nervous. I didn't know how to get in because over the last few months, even going back to football season, I've tried to get into DraftKings, and the state wouldn't allow me. I downloaded the app yesterday. I used our code Sports Talk KGO, got the bonus for signing up, and I went with the sports book, and everyone was saying, oh, the sports book doesn't work. You have to do fantasy. No. The sports book does work, and I put $25 on the Spurs to win last night.
Attaboy.
And I had a feeling, the Knicks were favored 2.5 points. Okay, they're at home. That's what people like Bolt have told us. Home teams usually get 2.5 points.
Absolutely.
But I figured, if the Knicks aren't going to sweep, like you'd mentioned yesterday, they're probably going to lose a game here in New York. I figured, why not game 3?
That's what I'm thinking.
So I put 25 in. But one thing I will tell you, if you are a gambler, or if you just make little small gambles like I do, I wouldn't say I'm a gambler, but I threw in, with the promo code Sports Talk KGO, they double your money, and I put 25 in. I ended up with 75 to play with. I put 30 on the Spurs to win straight up, no points, no nothing. So I was happy. But going into the app during the game, this is the first time I've ever seen this. But with DraftKings, you can in-game make bets.
Yes.
So during the game, going back to the last, I believe, 9 seconds of the game, I believe it was Castle at the free throw line to staple the game away. But I had locked it in. So you lock it in, and it gives you 30 seconds to make the bet or not to.
Mm-hmm.
So they're up by 3 after he made the first free throw, and I am tinkering like, do I
you do
take
the
this
fourth
bet?
one?
Because I'd take the Knicks to come back, and I was leaning on doing it, but the odds went to plus 900. So for a $10 bet, I was going to win $1,000 if the Knicks came back to win.
Damn.
I was like, okay, well, if he misses this free throw, I'll gamble $10 for $1,000.
Hell yeah.
And he made the fourth free throw, or he made the last free throw. They were up by 4. I'm like, okay, I'm backing out of this one.
And there it is.
But it's so easy, man. So I would, if you like to gamble on sports, it's fun, man.
Yeah.
And I don't gamble a lot of money. It's just fun money, is
Well,
like my
again,
wife would say. Stay under, $20-$30.
Exactly. Do it responsibly. Don't be like ruining your life with this type of stuff. But you're right. I mean, DraftKings is super simple. It's been a lot of fun going down everything that you can do with it. A buddy of mine showed me exactly what you can do during the Super Bowl a couple months ago, and he showed me the same thing. We were watching the Super Bowl. It had odds for if, the Patriots would come back at a certain time, how much money you'd win. And it's very enticing. I'm not gonna lie. It's very enticing when you see how much money you can win.
My buddy was texting me, "Oh, the Mariners game." I'm like, no. I will slow down. I just wanted to
maybe a little bit further into baseball season.
I wanted to make sure it worked. But I personally like those types of bets, the straight up bets, the who's going to win type things. I don't like to get into the stats because you can get carried away very quickly.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, as we've seen in the NBA, there's certain players that take liberties when it comes to these ups or higher and lowers of their stats. So it doesn't surprise me that you really don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But if you are somebody who enjoys this kind of a thing, highly recommend you download DraftKings if you haven't already. And again, like Sparky said, use the promo code SportsTalkKGEO, and you will get money for your first donation. Your first bet will be doubled, and honestly, it's worth every penny. It really is. So if you're looking to kind of get into this kind of a thing, especially with the World Cup starting up in a couple days,
we are going to have to get into that.
Yep. Well, especially since there was a Somali referee that got denied entry into the U.S.
And even bigger question, there's about 2,000 employees at SoFi that are about to walk away.
Yep. And that's a lot. That's a lot of things going on when we need everybody on their top game for arguably the world's most popular tournament, arguably. But again, we'll see what happens. I have faith that everybody will step up and do their job as we usually do here in this country. But when I hear that certain referees are getting stopped at the gate, that does kind of concern me, because I'm sitting here thinking, you knew they were coming.
It is World Cup.
Their countries paid bonds for them to be able to come into the country. What do you mean there's a vetting concern? At least tell us what that concern is. But again, that's Border Patrol. That's all this kind of technical hoopla. And if you've ever gone through customs at an airport, you know how frustrating that can
especially
be.
in Miami.
Yes. So, but sorry, let's shift back over to the basketball game, however, though, because there was a Frenchman that was absolutely tearing up America and ruining New York's day yesterday, because Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs did win their first game of this series, 115-111 last night. And again, as I said when we started this, everybody's blaming the referees. Everybody's saying the refs ruined this. The refs got in the way. No, they really didn't. There were portions at the beginning of the game, the first quarter and a half, where Richard Jefferson and the guys at ESPN were literally calling for them to step in more, that they weren't calling enough. And look, man, we can't have it both ways.
The timing was off.
It was very much off. And I think that everybody in New York just wanted to see a win, especially since they all dropped $6,000 to actually be at this game. But you sit there and you look at it, this is basketball. This type of stuff happens. And even if you want to sit there and say that they got a certain amount of free throws, look at the actual numbers of it all. The only guys who really got to the free throw line for the Knicks were OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson. But that's also because OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson were the only ones drawing fouls, getting to the hoop, and actually making those plays happen. Karl did not do that all game. In fact, Karl Anthony Towns was dang near invisible all game. I don't know what happened to him. He heard everybody singing his praises on ESPN and magically decided, oh, Victor's good at defense now. I'm not going to be able to play.
That's what he does.
I know, and that's what bugs me, is that 1 week we're sitting here talking about Karl as the key piece to winning everything for the Knicks, and the next we're talking about him absolutely being non-existent. And that's what I'm saying is like, I can't understand how a guy as talented as Carl does not get more than 20 points a game. I really don't. I don't understand how you only shoot 10 times in a span of 38 minutes.
Yeah, and even with the loss, man, I have to throw out some love because OG was playing like an
Crushing
OG, and Hart was on fire from the three. I mean, they got everything they needed to stay in that game, but they just
Yes.
couldn't finish it off.
Now,
Don't blame the refs for that.
no. And also, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Spurs did everything right and were drawing fouls like nobody's business, because there were a lot of ticky-tack calls that went against the Knicks, but that's to be expected sometimes, especially when the NBA as a league wants this series to go more than 4 games. Let's throw that out there as well. The NBA is going to be losing a ton of money if the Knicks end up sweeping the Spurs. Now, again, not saying the NBA is conspiring against any certain team or trying to make this go any further. I don't know that, so I'm not going to put on a tinfoil hat. But I do know how business works. I know how television revenue works. And trust me, the longer these series go, the better for the league.
Oh, and why wouldn't they want an extra 2 games?
Exactly.
Get a game 6 in New York. How much do you think those tickets are going to be?
Exactly the point I was just about to make. Mamdani has already come out and talked about how much this has been a lucrative success for the city of New York, just solely because of the money they made last night. But at this point, if they get to a game 6, because they could still wrap it up in 5 in San Antonio. And I did bring that up to our guy, Rand Dizzle, down the hall. How mad do you think New York fans would be if they didn't even get to witness the series end, if they wrap it up in San Antonio? You saw them tear each other apart last night after a 4-point loss, and they were tearing each other apart. It's not like they were attacking Spurs fans. They were attacking each other.
I saw people ripping Danhausen shirts.
That was incredible.
Get out of here, dude. You won 13 in a row.
My boy gave you the best playoff run of your lives, and you're going to mess with Danhausen? Really?
Trust me, you don't want him to curse you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know what, Dan? Throw it back on him. They clearly do not deserve to be uncursed if that is the case. But when you look at this game as a whole, I agree with you. I don't think we can blame the referees. The referees did their job. They let them play in the first half. They let go of a couple egregious calls. I will not deny that. Again, Victor literally got away with punching Jalen Brunson in the back of the head. But as it sits right now, you have to just let it go. Let it lie and go into game 4 knowing you still have the lead. It's still 2-1. And if you leave Madison Square Garden with a 3-1 lead, it's pretty it's a pretty good chance you're going to wrap this up in at least 6, which I think honestly would be a good thing. I think 6 games is exactly how long this series needs to go, or maybe even 7, depending on if the Spurs can turn this around. But I'm also going to give a lot of credit to the San Antonio Spurs, the youngest team in the NBA, bouncing back from being down 2-0, going into arguably the loudest and most vicious crowd in the NBA today right now, because they're all absolutely starving for some sort of relevancy or championship. And for them to step up and win this game the way they did, play fantastic defense throughout. Champagny is still doing what he's got to do. Harper is still doing what he's got to do off the bench. And if it wasn't for De'Aaron Fox's defense
and that last bucket,
this boy is all right. Look, 0 for 5 from 3 is one thing. 4 for 14 from the field, though. I'm like, bud, you got to figure something out here.
You're shooting like Brunson.
Hey, no kidding. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that works. Shooting in volume, especially with some of these guys, it works. But I have to keep crying for it. Where is the De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento? Where's the guy who averaged 25? Where's the guy who looked like a number 1 option? I get that you now are playing with a unicorn and a guy who's going to grow into arguably the best player in the league, but that doesn't mean you have to take a step back and fall back into his shadows.
Right. I mean, there was a when you're cold, you're cold. Yes. But when he steps up and makes a shot when they needed it, that's really what counts. And I would expect him to be more involved in the next game. I don't know if that'll be a good thing or a bad thing, because we've kind of seen both sides of Fox.
Right.
But when I look at I try not to look at the stats, but when it came down to it, that last bucket, when I thought for sure they were going to go to Wemby, and I think the Knicks did too. I mean, he had that wide open shot right by the free throw line and bucket. I was like, all right,
And
it's
that's the
over.
benefit. That's the benefit sometimes from having a guy like this, is that you can rely on him to knock down that open shot. But you need him to rely, or you need to be able to rely on him to knock down more than just that as well. And I mean, you guys heard me say it yesterday. Somebody needed to step up to be the second guy to score 20 points. Thank God they got Stephon Castle to go off yesterday. 18 points in the first half. He only got 5 in the second, but he still ended with 23, and that was pivotal for them.
He's a punk, man. I don't like that kid.
He does play really just his game is odd to me, because there are moments where I'm watching him play defense. I'm like, okay, this guy could clamp you down. And then there are moments where I'm watching him play and I'm like, you really didn't think that was going to get called? The OG Anunoby 3 in the corner where he had his hand on his hip and he's looking at the ref like, what? Like, dude, you literally had your hand all the way up, like his jump shot. What do you expect him to do? Just let you go?
And every time I watch basketball now, ever since I met Snacks, I'm like, I just get more respect for that type of job,
yes.
having to ref these types of plays or games, because every foul, you can see it.
Yep.
Their hands are blown out. What did I do? I didn't do anything.
Oh, and it happens at every level. It really does. Every single level, high school, college, pros, it doesn't matter. Everybody thinks that the ref is wrong. And one thing I think everybody on or that's at least watching the game on television, I should say, should remember: the angles that you're seeing are not the same angles that the referees are seeing. And some of these calls are blocked. Like, some of these actions are blocked by certain things where these guys can't see it. So I agree with you. I think we have to give more credit to these guys for doing their job and doing it at a good rate here. This team that they put together for the finals aren't Joe Blows. They're not bad referees in any way, shape, or form. They're some of the best ones in the league, and they know what they're doing. So that's why I have to stress, like, every time I hear anybody come out and blame the referees for a loss, I would get it if the game came down to free throws and clearly they shouldn't have gotten those free throws.
Right.
But it didn't.
No.
This game did not come down to the free throws, no matter what people like Nick Costas or all these Nick fans across ESPN want to tell you. Had nothing, or I shouldn't say had nothing to do with it, but it did not determine the game. There was still plenty of opportunity for the Knicks to have taken this one, and they just floundered it.
And it shows just how important these challenges are.
Yes. And honestly, that's the other part that you could easily go into too. If they were such bad calls, why not challenge them? Why not? Mike had all the chance in the world to sit there and say, that's not a foul. And then you get the challenge back when you're right. But Mike didn't. Instead, Mike just took it upon himself to complain to the media right afterwards and say, I've never seen this before. And trust me,
that's when he was out of challenges.
Yeah, well, that's true, but still.
But hey, I didn't like the idea of having challenges. But in key moments, I think they were 4 for 4 last night, and
that's the whole point of
that. Is the point, exactly. And I love it. And my only question is, when are they just taking away of amount of challenges?
Right. But again, my point is more, throughout the game, you could have challenged all those calls if you really wanted to. Now, I know coaching strategy, you want to hold on to these things as long as humanly possible, especially since you really can't determine if a ref is even going to give you the call or not. It could still be a non-foul, and they could still turn around and say, nope, it was a foul, we're going to give it to him. So fairness of it all really comes into it as well. But you're right. When do we really look down at the real nitty-gritty of these challenges? And that's how many you get, when do they get to go away, at what time are they even allowed? Because, I mean, it's like the NFL. You get 2 of them, but after a certain time, they strike those away from you because everything is done up top. So should there be something similar in the NBA where, like, last 3 minutes of the game or last 3 minutes of a half,
they all go to the booth?
Exactly. And then they get called down. But then again, at that point, you're going to be slowing down a basketball game, because at some point, someone's going to have to chime into the ear of the referee and say, hey, blow your whistle. There was something you guys missed. And then you're going to have to go to a replay booth, explain why you're going to a free throw line.
It just pushes the reason of AI now.
Right. Again.
But my overall question is, I mean, now that the Spurs get a game out of it and split it, now it's 2-1. Does that change what you think the ending of this series is going to be?
I'm still sticking to the Spurs. I mean, again, maybe just because you took the Knicks, but it is what it is. I like what I've seen from the Spurs. I don't really care who wins as long as we go 6 or 7.
Yeah.
As long as the Knicks don't win these next 2. And again, not because I don't want to see the Knicks win a championship, but more because I want to see more basketball. And I know how this could help the league if we win 6 or 7. So, in my opinion, does it change my thought process on the ending of it? No, because I've said Spurs in 6 or 7 since the beginning. Now, obviously, I would have to take the Spurs in 7 unless they win the next 4 games outright, which highly doubt they actually do.
3.
Or yeah, I'm sorry, 3 games outright. You're absolutely right. I apologize. But I mean, when
I
it
just
comes
want good
down
basketball.
to, yeah, I just want good basketball. That's all I care about. I don't give a damn who wins out of this series. I think this could be a really fun series to see go 6 or 7, especially with how chippy they got last night. There's plenty of emotions flaring. These guys want it. I mean, even Luke Cornett's getting into fights with people. So there's
I did feel bad for that Spurs fan getting knocked out and outside,
uh,
but you walking around with Tim Duncan jersey, I mean,
but again,
it's
and you're
plenty
in
to put
New
a
York.
target. Exactly.
Yeah, look, brother. There's a well-known rule in New York. If you are an opposing fan, after that game, you take that jersey off before you walk out of the stadium. I don't care how prideful you feel that your team just won. It's for your own safety.
I was talking with our buddy Rec last night during the game, and he was like, this is probably the most entertaining series I've seen. And I was more complaining about how they turned this game in New York more of like the Grammys, because every commercial break I had to see the who's there and what are they wearing. And I'm like, dude, I don't care.
I know.
We all know.
Again, Celebrity Row and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big draws of the Knicks.
It just reminded me of the Super Bowl.
It really does. It absolutely
all right.
does. But again, maybe that's what the NBA wants.
Yeah.
This does pull in more viewers, knowing that they get to look at Timothy Chalamet freak out about the Knicks on the sideline. Spike Lee. Well, Spike's always there though. At this point, that's like Jack Nicholson. We all know he's going to be at every game. But again, I agree with you. It's stupid to see every single time. But it's just like the NFL. Anytime there's somebody that's a celebrity in the crowd, they're going to go to them. Anytime Taylor's up there watching Travis, they're going to have a camera on her. Like, it's just how celebrities work. And
as they announced they're getting married at Madison Square Garden, I'm like, oh, God. Great.
Yay, everybody gets to witness this.
Is it streaming? Is it streaming?
Oh, I guarantee you it is. Are you kidding? That's going to be the most streamed thing on the freaking internet in the last 5 years, is everybody watching Travis and Taylor get married while Jason stands up there as the best man. Again, I am happy for those two. I don't mean it to sound like I am, being an evil person and, fighting against love here, but can we just
get it over with?
Exactly. Can we just get it over with? Or can you guys just do it privately? Do we all have to witness this? Like, does everybody have to watch? I just don't get it. I really don't. You know what's funny? This is the one time that Taylor Swift fans and NFL fans are actually going to be watching the same thing at the same time
together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fathers and their daughters can sit down and imagine their future wedding and whatnot when Taylor and Travis finally tie the knot. This is just going to be so dumb. It really is. I'm sorry. Again, I don't mean to sound like I'm against them in any way. I hope they have a long and very successful marriage together. I really do. But I'm one of those people. It's like, dude, do those kinds of things behind closed doors in private with your family.
That's what the wedding is supposed to be.
Exactly. There's no reason to do it at Madison Square Garden. And more than likely, again, there's no guarantee of this, so I shouldn't really talk about it as if it's going to happen. But I am 95% positive there's going to be at least a stream and or a docu-series about how this wedding got done, how it was all put together. Exactly. We're going to see something that's going to be the most viewed and streamed thing on the planet just because it's Taylor and Travis's wedding. I just can't get over this. But again,
we're starting to get some questions sent in for Rhea. So
fantastic.
Just a reminder, if you have any questions for either one, Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan,
yes,
you could text it in to 661-842-2000. I will save your questions, or you can send us via YouTube,
yes,
all the streaming options that we have.
Any social media option. If you can find us, send a question, just put in there, hey, this is a question for Rhea, or hey, this is a question for Liv, or even for the boys next week. If it's for Joe Hendry, or for Royce Keys, any one of those four, feel free to reach out to us. Again, we will gladly take all of your guys' questions, pool them together, and we'll try to get as many of them answered as humanly possible. But again, we have very limited time with these wrestlers. But I do love to hear that people are sending in questions. That's awesome. And the final thing we have to talk about, my friend, and I really don't want to talk about the Orange Man, but we have to bring it up. The president was there last night.
I was like, who the hell is the Orange Man?
The Orange Man. I call him the Orange Man because he's the only man on the planet that has a 24/7 pre-tan all the time.
Besides Braun?
Donald J. Trump. Well, you know what? No, that's a good point.
That's who I thought you were saying.
No, Donald J. Trump was at the game last night. Again, diehard Knicks fan. Does not surprise me that he was going to be at this game.
Him.
Yeah. First ever sitting president to actually witness an NBA Finals game while he's still being a president. But the main thing that I highlighted yesterday that still bugs me to this day, or to this moment, I feel like this tied into why the New York fans were so livid last night. But the fact that the Secret Service had to close off the outside of the stadium so there couldn't be a watch party for everybody who couldn't pay for a ticket, I still find that to be just absolutely ridiculous. I read that yesterday. I knew it was going to happen, but we never got a chance to actually talk about it. And I get the security protocol of it all, but these people are diehard fans. You're already closing them out because they probably can't afford a ticket. And now you're going to tell them they can't even do the traditional thing, which is stand outside the stadium, watch it on the Jumbotron, and cheer with your team so they can hear you and cheer so loudly that they could hear you from outside. I just found it to be a little ridiculous. Again, I know that Secret Service has to do what they got to do to protect the president. But if we're going to have this kind of thing happen, can we at least allow the fans to get in on this? You know, the people who actually matter, the people who are there every single game, not just the guy who showed up because it's game 3 of the NBA Finals. Like, again, I just found it to be a little ridiculous, but it is what it is, and it's life. I just have to accept it. But it also makes me wonder if we're going to be doing that for Madison Square Garden, what's security going to be like for that UFC event on Sunday? I don't think there's going to be a soul in sight, Sparky, outside of who is supposed to be there. But again,
have you had any updates on the cancellation of this event?
No, I have not. And honestly, I don't know.
Just a witch hunt.
Well, if it's Donald talking about it, it's always a witch hunt. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. I said it yesterday. I don't think they're going to actually be able to derail this. It's the week of the event. If we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, I think that we could say that this could be canceled.
Is this Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. It's on the 14th. And I just feel like they find a way to kind of just make this happen and then deal with the litigation afterwards. Knowing how this entire thing is being created, how it was all built. And like I said yesterday, you've had months upon months to really bring up some sort of grievance against this. And now you're waiting to the week of the event. And it's not like they just started building the stage. They've been building it for weeks now. So you knew this was being built. So all of this really does just kind of feel like they're slapping Donald down, trying to say, you're not going to have any fun. But it's like, I get why they're doing it, because legally you're supposed to go through certain protocols to be able to do this kind of thing on national park soil, which they did not do, apparently, from this lawsuit. I just don't think it's going to actually change anything. I think the UFC and Donald find a way to just make this happen. Yeah. Even if they just move it inside to the ballroom, I don't really think they're going to care that much. I think they'll just pack it all up and say, okay, fine, we can't do it on the lawn. We'll do it in the Oval Office then. Let's go.
Do it in the middle of the street.
No kidding. And honestly, and as you said yesterday, maybe that gives them more viewership. Do it from the streets of Washington, D.C.
Put some more circus into this circus.
That would actually be kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. Like, if you just put it right outside of the White House on the street line right there, close off every street around you, that could be a cool venue.
Let's see if I could get somebody that maybe Idell or something come in and get some predictions in.
Absolutely.
I really want to put some type of fire into this, because besides I know the Stanley Cup finals are going on, and I'm going to try to watch tonight's game. I told my buddy Sammy this year I'm going to go all in on the World Cup, and I'm going to try to be the biggest fanboy and try to get into this.
Are we going for America? Or are you picking a different country?
I'm picking somebody else.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
I mean, I'm always I bleed America, but I'm going to go with a different team.
True. Fair. That's fine. I mean, again, I have a little bit of an idea. I'm probably just going to stick with America just because I'm obviously here, but I have the same kind of idea here.
I'm leaning like maybe France or Brazil, but I don't know yet.
Okay,
I'll let you guys know by Friday. Is it Thursday?
Thursday first game. But
I was looking at tickets yesterday, since it's been on the topic besides, the NBA finals and all this other stuff going on. So I tried to look up the tickets over at SoFi.
Ridiculous.
It depends on if you go to a Thursday game or a Sunday game. Obviously, the weekends are going to be a little bit more pricey. Thursday games, anywhere from $600 to about $1,200, depends on where you sit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sunday it was like $5,000-$6,000. And my buddy Sammy, who is going to be going to one of these games, is he's been saving up for years. He's a big soccer fan, and was telling me that, dude, this is only the first round.
I'm sorry. I know that there are diehard soccer fans, and you have plenty of time to save up for these tickets in the World Cup. But I'm not dropping a couple grand to go see a soccer match. I'm sorry. I'm not.
This is like the Super Bowl for them.
I know.
So
He's
and that's
been
why I'm
saving
saying
up for
years. He stepped out of a trip to Morocco with his family. His family is in Morocco right now while he's staying home because he's his part of money to go to the World Cup. So I totally understand where he's going, but he's waiting.
Sammy chose the World Cup over Morocco.
Oh, he's from Morocco. I could go to Morocco anytime.
That's fair. No, that's fair. If he's from Morocco, then I get it.
But he said his son is rubbing it in. He was sending him pictures riding a 4-wheeler out in the desert in Morocco. I was like, dude, this kid is living his best life.
I chose the wrong career path, my friend. I should have been a financial advisor. My God, my family be in Morocco and I get to go to the World Cup.
Right.
Ugh. I mean, again, I'm just not a diehard soccer guy like that. I, like you, fully intend to, try to keep up with the World Cup and everything going on in it. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that, but I'm going to try. But
soccer is one of those sports I love playing.
Yes,
I can't watch.
I grew up playing it. I'm pretty sure if you freaking lived here in this city, you grew up playing either at AYSO or Brigade or one of those leagues. Doesn't matter. We all played soccer at one point in our lives, and it's a fun game to play. It really is. I just can't get into it on television. I just can't. I mean, how people feel about golf, I kind of have the same feeling when it comes to soccer. I'm sitting there with anticipation, waiting for something crazy to happen, and then it's just pass, 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 pass. And I'm like, okay, I can't. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm really gonna go to sleep right now. And again, no disrespect to the athletes. These are some of the best athletes in the world, and arguably have the best motor of any sport on paper.
And just like March Madness, they expanded, they added more teams. It's the first time it's going to be streaming in 3 different countries simultaneously, which is awesome.
Love that.
So I got to jump in at least and try.
Yes. No, and that's how I feel as well.
But I might be in the same boat. Dude.
I'm just rolling with America, and if we get knocked out, then I'm going to sit there and say, I don't give a damn who wins. I really don't. But I know America ain't going to win. We never win in soccer. We have football, damn it. That's our football. We got the real sport. Let's take a break, though. We got to continue talking basketball with the guys at Bentley Bulls. We're running a little late. I believe they're probably outside waiting for us right now. Who knows? And then we got our guy KG coming in at 8 o'clock, talk all things professional wrestling, as they were live in Paris yesterday. I believe that's the last overseas day. They may be coming back. No, there's another one.
I thought the same thing, but when I was looking at, they had a promotion that came up, and I think they're there for almost a month.
Are they really? Okay, well, good for them. More overseas stuff. I'm completely okay with it with the WWE, because that means I get to watch Raw and SmackDown at noon instead of having to wait till 5 o'clock.
That's the best crowd.
Oh, it really is. I've always said that the European crowds in most sports are just so much better than we are here in America. And again, no disrespect to anybody who's a sports fan. They just have a different energy, man. They have a different just vibe to them when they go to these events. It's more chant based. It's more like they're getting in on the action. With us, it's just more, we want to see the sport itself. We want to see a winner, and we want to see it be done correctly. So it's just a different vibe. But we'll get to all of that at some point before we get out of here. And we have a couple other stories we got to get to. We'll give you an update on the Jonathan Cooper situation, the Denver Bronco linebacker who swallowed his girlfriend's phone. Pled not guilty yesterday. He'll be looking at a trial case here in July. And then there was a weird death yesterday in Kentucky. A Kentucky defensive lineman at the age of 20 passed away, and they said there's no foul play suspected at all. It seems like we're seeing a lot of these young athletes go at such early times in their lives, and there's not a very good reason for it. So we'll give you an update on some of these stories as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. We may have had a miscommunication with the Bentley Bowls people, but it's okay. We'll potentially talk to them at 8:30 today or tomorrow, right before we get to our guy Kenny Calvin, who has an album that he's going to be telling you all about tomorrow. But we can get to a couple of other stories. The world of college sports is still up in arms about this Brendan Sorsby situation. It broke during our show yesterday. The kid from Texas Tech is getting an injunction. He's going to be allowed to play in 2026 for the Red Raiders. And the world of college sports could not be more livid about it. And I mean from top to bottom. I've not heard a single person say this is a good thing. Nobody. In fact, well, let's hear from Pete Thamel real quick, the absolute just authority in college sports. This man went on Pat McAfee's show yesterday and was explaining to Pat how this is going to affect the NCAA, but he also had some comments from some people within, or I'm sorry, some athletic directors within the Big 12 that really highlight, in my opinion, how bad this move was. So let's hear from Pete Thamel real quick.
It's the latest manifestation of one of the biggest issues in college sports right now, Pat, which is local rulings overruling what the NCAA rules are supposed to be. And this one feels the most significant, Pat, because gambling cuts different than a medical red shirt, than an age argument like the Bediako case, for example. I don't think I've gotten more text on my phone about a breaking news story unprompted ever, or certainly not in the last 5 years. I mean, my phone did not stop ringing. In the general tenor, Pat, around college athletics, I would say is one of disgust. One Big 12 AD texted me today, "We lost our soul today." And look, there was a lot of hyperbolic reaction to this, but gambling had always been I joked it was like the Good Will Hunting thing. You hit a cop, you're going to jail. There were always significant consequences for gambling, and that changed today because of this.
So the big highlight there, obviously, was what the athletic director from the Big 12 said, that the NCAA has lost its soul. And honestly, it kind of feels that way. I said it yesterday. I don't know if it was on air, if it was off air. I can't remember, but we was talking about it. And the more and more I thought about it, the more I said, this was the one time the NCAA did something right. The one time that every person that likes college football or college sports can say, thank God they did something right. But it didn't matter because the judicial system decided we're going to absolutely take that decision, throw it out the window, and the kid's going to be able to play because we say so. I mean, Spark, we've talked about it now a couple times. Is there anybody listening to my voice right now that really truly believes that Brendan Sorsby's not going to make a bet again on a sporting event?
Yeah, what's the bet on that?
Exactly. Oh, that's a good point. Ding. But again, it's just so terrible. Like, it bugs me because the NCAA gets so much grief from me specifically for being idiots on so many different fronts.
Well, it feels like with now the court stepping in, it almost feels like the kid that got in trouble that went to the parent after he got in trouble
Exactly.
and tried to undermine what the ruling was.
Exactly.
And I think that's where the NCAA real problem is.
Yes. 100%.
Is outsourcing their sentencing, their penalties.
And I'm glad you brought that up because the second bite that we're about to play right now from Josh Pate, when he was on the Rich Eisen show and talking about this, he kind of said something similar, how this affects the NCAA as a whole and their authority over most of these athletes. So let's hear from Josh real quick.
I kind of understand how this feels out of the NCAA's purview. Like, why would the NCAA of all entities be the governing or investigatory body for this? This feels better suited for someone else. I've said that a lot about matters that in the grand scheme of things are more important than betting on sports while you're an active player. However, the Rubicon, that one red line that you always looked at as a participant or a coach or a fan, was betting on the sports as you're an active participant. Because, Rich, that feels like the one area where the matter is really weighty and consequential, but two, it feels like it's in the NCAA's lane. It feels like it's in the lane of any governing body. And to me, that's the ultimate test. If you cannot govern the matters that are in your lane, you don't exist. You're just four letters. The NCAA is just kind of four letters now. And maybe it always was. and it was a poodle that barked in the microphone and convinced everyone it was a Doberman for a long time, but it's done. It's over. And it's crazy. We find this headline in the middle of, this bigger mushroom cloud about Senate bills and who should and shouldn't have autonomy over college football. It's just kind of another log on the fire this week, I guess.
Well said.
Absolutely. And at what point now, where is the NCAA now? Where is their level of authority? Where is really their ability to make any decision? Because now, if any kid gets essentially suspended or told they do not have eligibility to play their sport, they're just going to go hire probably this lawyer specifically who has a great track record against the NCAA in terms of wins, and they're going to win their eligibility back. And then we're going to absolutely lose everything. There's ADs out here saying that the sport and the NCAA as a whole has lost its soul. There are guys out here saying that they have lost their credibility and authority, and all of it is true. Every bit of it is true just because Brendan Sorsby was granted this injunction. I got to stop saying won because he didn't go to court for this. He was granted an injunction, and the court said you could play football.
Yeah,
All because this freaking lawyer sat there and said, well, my client is going to be harmed by this financially.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get in trouble.
Exactly. Like, when do we really set the standard that sports are a privilege, not a right?
I was going to the NBA, but I didn't grow tall enough.
Exactly.
So should I go sue them because, they took money out of my pocket?
Yep. Absolutely. Shoot, Spark, that you should sue them for all they're worth because they took away your livelihood, my friend.
Louise.
And that's what I'm saying. This is a stupid precedent to set. It's so dumb. This kid cheated. He bet 40 different times on his football team.
That we know about.
Exactly. All in a span of a month and a half, not counting the other 19,000. I'm sorry. No, actually, it's more than that. I think it's 90 or something. I can't even remember the ridiculous amount of money that this kid put forward in the 4 years he was betting on other sports, including his own. He has no moral compass in this area.
And you think this is going to fix it?
Exactly.
Let him slap on the wrist. You can go play.
You know what?
Go
That's
make your
fine.
money, homie.
That's fine. And like you said yesterday, Sparky, watch him come out this year and absolutely ball, win the Heisman Trophy, and everybody's talking about this like a redemption story. And then he gets drafted by the NFL. And in the first couple years, he looks good. And then there's this one game, this really weird game, where he just sucked, and no one could actually understand why. And we said, well, that's not Brendan Sorsby. Who's this? This is clearly a different man. And then we figure out, oh yeah, Brendan threw the game because he had a bet on it.
Yes.
Like,
it's coming. It's written on the wall.
The kid's a Paul Crew. And we're just going to allow this to happen. I don't get it. I really don't. And again, this is the one time where I could sit there and say this isn't on the NCAA. And for everybody on the internet saying, oh, the NCAA. No, the NCAA
so what
had
happens
nothing
next?
to do with this.
What happens next?
So they are trying to appeal this. The NCAA
As
is trying to appeal this injunction and get it taken off the ledger. But as I said yesterday, I don't think that's going to help. Because in a court of law, a judge is the top guy.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this judge is from Lebec, which just so happens to be where the Red Raiders are. But if you really sit down and look at it, hopefully somebody with a moral compass in their head that's not just looking out for the Red Raiders gets a hold of this and absolutely appeals this and says, get the hell out of here. And at that point, it's going to be too late for this kid to jump in the supplemental draft, which means you're going to have to chance it that you can maybe make it to the combine next year through workouts and whatnot. This kid's football career should be done, if I'm being honest. And it's on him. It really, I know we should be blaming technically the lawyer for winning it for him, but at this point, it's on him.
But he took the class.
Okay. 35 days does not tell me that you're good enough to be able to say, I'm not going to bet ever again. I'm never going to pick up my phone and put down $50 on DraftKings or on Underdog or on any of these other streaming or apps or whatever that allow you to connect with a betting app that, make these things happen. It bugs me. I agree with the AD from the Big 12. I wish I knew which one it was because they said it beautifully. The NCAA lost its soul. I agree with Josh Pate. They lost their authority and their credibility with this.
Yeah, and that's where I'm lost because I don't know what happens next to them. Because now they just showed they have zero background,
Zero.
or zero backbone, because anybody can just step in and be like, you know what, we don't like that rule.
Right. Well, and I don't even know if it's necessarily they don't have a backbone. I think it's more along the lines of they stole the credibility from them. It's like
No
when
authority.
yes, it's like when the vice principal of your school walks up and gives you detention, but then the principal walks up and says, "The hell are you talking about? This kid's fine. Get out of here." You just absolutely took away every bit of authority that that person had.
It's like my brother. My brother would get in trouble. My mom would take the Nintendo away,
Yes.
and then he'd go talk to my dad,
And dad would give it
my
back.
mom would come home to work, and he'd be playing Nintendo. She's like, "Dude, you are grounded. What the hell are you doing?" Dad said I could.
Yeah, dad said it was okay. I told dad I was bored, so he said I can do it because dad didn't want to actually do anything.
Yes.
Sorry, not to
No,
throw you out
that
there,
was
Kirk,
pretty-
but I mean that's how families work. Trust me, my family did the same thing. I got in trouble, got video games or something taken away from me. About a week into the grounding, I would look at my mom and say, "Mom, I'm sorry, I'm super bored. Can I please just play my Game Boy for an hour?"
Mhm.
And then she'd be like, "You know what? Did you learn your lesson?" I said, "Yes, I've learned my lesson." And then you take the Game Boy and you go off and frolic.
I'd go into where my mom would spank me and I'd laugh, and then my dad would come with the belt. I was like, damn it.
Ooh, exactly. So that's
Well, do you think
point.
the NCAA has any chance of taking more control of this situation?
I don't know. That's what I fear, because if they don't, this is going to happen more often. All of these athletes are going to find ways to just
Gamble?
gamble, or well, not even just that. The gambling is the first step of it. Imagine again, all of these athletes that are coming back from professional sports that are being told they no longer have eligibility because of new rules.
But
Now,
Sorsby did.
that's exactly. They're going to sit there and say, well, Sorsby was able to fight this, so I'm going to fight this. And they're going to hire a lawyer and they're going to take him to court. And then they're going to find whatever judge that used to be is an alumni of the college they're going to, wants their team to be good, and says, yeah, I'll pass off on this.
Better call Saul.
Which also, that's a good point too. But that's also kind of a problem with our judicial system as well, because it shows a big bias in all of our judges. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get being an alumni means that you should have some favoritism. But if you're a judge, a lawyer, anybody that has something to do with something like this, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be having any say in it. And maybe that's something that legislation needs to come in. Maybe we need to actually call upon some lawmakers here, as we've said in the past, to have them help out the NCAA making new guidelines, not only for the NIL, but for stuff like this, where they sit there and say any alumni from a certain school cannot, be a judge
And keep him out of Texas.
over any, over any governing thing that that a school is trying to get across. You know what I mean? There's got to be some sort of limitations to this.
I thought the NCAA was there for guidelines.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was a different way to go around them.
Well, let's be honest. The NCAA is there to make money. That the guidelines are just more rules that they made up so these players couldn't make money themselves. But again, this is just a very dangerous precedent to set. I hate that this is the story of the day, really, because it really shouldn't be. We shouldn't be talking about this at all. It should have ended last week when the kid got denied for a second time. But unfortunately, for those of you who are looking for the integrity of the game, it is in jeopardy since Brendan Sorsby decided he wants to go play in 2026. And as Sparky said yesterday, how's that going to affect the pro game in 2027? How are teams even going to give this kid a chance? Or are they going to do the smart thing and say, this kid is just going to get us in trouble? Hell no. So we'll talk about that and much more, but we got to get to some pro wrestling first. Our guy 24 kg is on the other side. We'll talk about what happened at Raw yesterday. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Check them out. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation.
hosts, Sparky and Burdick. Welcome back.
Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. And it's a Tuesday, 8 o'clock, so it's time to call in our guy 24KG and get us up to date on all things WWE, as they were live yesterday from Paris, France. Myself and KG were able to check it out. But, sir, good morning. Good to see you.
Top of the morning, fellas. We're 1 day away from the WWE takeover of the EBS. And I
hopefully
can't
first of
stress it
many.
anymore.
Well, second of many, technically, because Tiffy was the first. Tiffy was number one. So
yes,
we have to give her credit for that.
I'm just waiting for Scott Cox to make a bold enough move to step
Oh,
on.
no, he was just behind him. Sparky just did. He was blocked perfectly by Sparky's face.
We're going to have to put some like holy water over the door, sprinkle garlic around there or something. I don't know what we got to do to Scott Cox proof the studio. But good sir, we'll be looking to introduce you to YouTube very soon.
At some point, maybe. Who knows? He doesn't.
I don't think the world's ready for that.
I don't think the world's ready for that either.
No, yeah.
That's a
They
site
got
that
places for people like that. It's called Guantanamo, but that's a different show.
Now, Kern Radio does have a YouTube page. Go follow them if you would like. But we are here to talk about a little wrestling because, yes, you are correct, sir. We are 1 day away from talking to Rhea and 2 days away from talking to Liv, which is going to be fantastic. Can't wait to talk about that. And Liv just picked up a massive win last night in the Queen of the Ring tournament. What were your thoughts?
It was a good match. It was, we joked a little bit about it, like who overlooked this booking on having her in the tournament for her own title. But you made a good point yesterday, Chris, about where this could eventually lead with her if she does win the tournament. We could be looking at Liv Morgan becoming another double champ. We haven't seen a double champ in a while, and that
Especially
was
on the
a good
women's
point
side.
that you made.
I mean, again,
we might as well.
I didn't consider it really until we were talking about it yesterday, because you brought up the point that who overlooked her being in this tournament. Because for those who don't know and aren't following the WWE, the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments are essentially to set up the next contender for one of the major championships, in which Liv holds one of them. So the only logical thing in my head, although they're spinning it as Dom and Liv want to be the King and Queen of the Ring together, I think they're more setting it up for Liv to have that double championship opportunity, take on a Rhea Ripley, and potentially beat her as she's done a couple times now.
I think it's just more of a setup for her and Raquel.
That could potentially be the case as well.
Yeah, that also could be the fuel for the fire that burns down the Judgment Day.
Absolutely.
Or they're just playing us like usual, and it's all a work, and they're just pushing Raquel over.
They need to. She's the unsung hero of that group, in my opinion. I mean, we all know how great Dom and Liv are, but I feel like Raquel really doesn't get the love she deserves. She is so much fun to watch in the ring. And before she had to take time away to deal with her, I can't remember what
the eczema.
Eczema. Thank you. Would she deal with her eczema breakout? She was the number one contender to take on Rhea to potentially win that championship when she had it, but they never gave her a run back at it since she's come back.
Yeah.
Or do you think EO somehow, some way pulls this off? And because now, like when EO won the first match, I was like, okay, well, it's probably hers to take. But now with all the Judgment story, the side stuff going on, it almost makes it perfect for one of these two from the Judgment Day to pull it off.
I feel like EO makes it to the final just because of her popularity. And I mean, it's a very well-known thing now that she is arguably the best wrestler on the entire roster. But I think as well, you said
100%.
You set up Rhea and Liv, or at least Rhea against the Judgment Day again because of her obvious close connection with EO. I wouldn't be surprised if she comes to her rescue. So, I mean, where do you think that this all kind of goes, though, my friend? Who do you see winning the whole thing?
Well, seeing as how it could come down to a lot of people's fan favorites here, we just discussed Liv Morgan. I'd have to say a lot of money's riding high on EO right now, just based off of what you just said and popularity reasons. WWE has got to do something to capitalize with her, and everybody, when she, gets on a roll and her moveset starts to crescendo and they hit it's very popular, emote, I guess, out there for wrestling fans to do. I'd have to say smart money is on EO.
And looking at, there's only one more match in that first round. and it looks like it'll probably be Charlotte or maybe Jade. I mean,
It would make sense to me.
Well,
but
seeing as how Charlotte has the backup now of Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley, it would make sense to say that, but you've got Jade and the baddies over there really putting in some formidable work, especially with the last match that Jade Cargill has the vast improvement over the months of just constant going back and forth with greats like Rhea, like Charlotte. It's the old adage of ironing, sharpening iron. That one would be a great one to see, nonetheless, with Flair and Cargill sharing the ring. Come on, that's just money written all over that match.
Oh, absolutely. But that's why, what do you think the probability or possibility, I should say, what do you think the possibility is that both of those two just take each other out and we see either Sol Ruka or Lyra Valkyria win this? Because Sol could also really benefit from
it's a very high probability, Chris. Very high.
I mean,
I am not a fan of Sol Ruka.
I know. And again, they had a match last night as well on Raw, which we had a lot of comments about last night while watching, myself and Kimble. I truly believe once you allow Sol Ruka to kind of get over what appears to be nerves of a lot of this, like her changing up her style to make sure she doesn't hurt anybody, like being overly protective of her opponent, I think you're going to see the better side of Sol Ruka, especially the one that we saw when she first came in and took on Io in her first match. I think you're going to see more of that. The one that I worry about, unfortunately, is Lyra. I love Lyra. I think she's a great personality, but for some reason, it just does not carry over in the ring for me. I'm not a huge fan, but what are the possibilities?
Yeah.
Which one of those women need it more, though, in your opinion?
I would definitely have to say Sol Ruka, a.k.a. Jeff Hardy Jr. She's out there doing what she's doing, making it look good, but give her a couple more months to get over this initial, I'd have to say, in all phase, maybe mesmerized by the main roster.
Well, see, but it's different.
You know what?
The same as the majors.
Sparky ain't got no heart. No feelings on it. He like, when you come to the main roster, you better be ready.
And I mean, if you watch Bubba, Bubba's been saying the same thing. Bubba's been like, dude, I respect her, but it was rushed.
No, you're absolutely right.
Hey, I mean, definitely, I can say it was rushed on the aspect of how fast her ascension has been to that Intercontinental Championship position. That's the one thing that I think has everybody like, but it's not like it's undeserved, but ready for, questionable. That's the big thing. And really, you can kind of tell she got in her own head about her first appearance against Becky and the botch, the injury, these things quickly leading up into a succession of let me find my groove again, which is apparent. And you've seen some of that in the Lyra Valkyria match, which might have been one of the smoothest matches I've seen of Sol Ruka since her debut on the main roster.
No, it was a great match by both of them in certain spots. But again, there are moments where I just look at it and say, okay, really? Like, I mean, we were watching it together. There was a setup for Lyra at one point where I just could not believe how bad it looked.
Dude, they were all over the place in that match last night.
Right. And I honestly can't tell, though.
And that was one of the smoother ones.
Yeah.
Really? Because that seemed like the timing was all off.
Smoother ones for her main roster run.
Well, they were running in circles at a point where they didn't even know what move was next. And I was like, what the hell are we watching?
I also argue that it's a smart idea for them to at least see what it looks like with her with that IC belt on her shoulder. One, because we had to get it off Becky eventually. She can't carry it forever. But two.
Yeah, but it seems like she could.
No, it's
Becky
true.
Lynch can do no wrong right now. I'm telling you, man.
I get it, but at this point, like when you look at someone like this, it's kind of like what they did with Randy when they threw the belt on Randy too early, and you really saw it. I think this is how they're going to start testing a lot of these younger talents that they're pulling up really quickly. Give them a belt early, see if they shine or if they
sink or swim.
Yeah, and if they sink, take the belts off them. It's okay. We were just testing it out. Let's let them run through the tag division just like they did with Lyra. That's exactly what they're doing with Lyra right now. And it's kind of worked. But that's kind of my issue with it is you can't put both of them in the ring together and expect it to be good.
That's what I was telling my wife. I was like, man, she's working out timing and she's working out, the nerves. And you put her in a match with Lyra?
Lyra is learning a ton from girls.
Dang,
I mean, Lyra was looking good for the last couple months. It seemed like Lyra was back on path.
Right. And again, she's learning a lot, and I think that's the benefit of the run that, you know, you could give Sol Ruca here, kind of do the same thing with her. Let a Roxanne Perez take that belt off of her, because Roxy's been needing that forever, and allow Sol to go team up with somebody who's really going to teach her the ropes and how to do this effectively, and then you're going to see the most out of Sol Ruca, in my opinion. But again, I don't know. I am willing to wait on this one just because I've seen how good she is in NXT. And when she's at her peak, she's at her absolute
Well, luckily
peak.
we got all sorts of great matches last night, aside from that one, because not only the men's and women's the fatal 4-way, but the Penta and Mysterio match was one of the best I've seen in Raw lately.
I
5 stars.
I'm glad you said that, because I am loving this luchador like takeover of the WWE. But I do have to say, because I said this yesterday, watching Ray's entrance is really starting to make me feel sad.
Yeah,
because just you can tell it's not the same dude. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm more saying it because it's like, God, what I would give to see top tier Rey Mysterio and top tier Penta on each other. It would have been.
It made me feel old when they did the promo, and I was remembering the old times when he would come out with the full getup on WCW and even before that. And it was just like, man, I've been watching this guy for so long.
The purple one-piece suit that he wore at Halloween Havoc. Like, again, he doesn't even do the jump in the entrance anymore. He comes out and just does 619. I'm like, oh my God, this looks like your old uncle who had a couple beers and is telling you he's still got it.
When your knees don't work like they used to.
I know.
But he still got out there and made that match happen. For the better credit of Rey Mysterio can still go. Now, all jokes aside, folks, let's just cut to the sweet meat and potatoes right there. Seeing Penta and Rey Mysterio, I believe, was WWE's knee-jerk reaction to we've got to capitalize off of the AAA momentum that has been created down there in Mexico.
And seeing the big pop when Gable comes back out too, that was awesome.
Oh man, that right there, the redemption arc,
Chad Gable,
the redemption arc of Chad Gable finding out that it was a bad thing to be racist and make fun of AAA culture. It's not a storyline. It's not like he wrote that. Okay, I want to take a time real quick to just address these internet fans who are attacking Chad Gable. Go touch some air. You know, I mean, go breathe some air, touch some grass, get some sunshine. It's a storyline, folks. He didn't sit there and pin that himself. Now, to address what we just seen last night with the reaction from the crowd in Paris. These UK crowds have been awesome. I just want to say thank you to them for refreshing the ratings pool and people's visual and auditorial interest in seeing what real fans react like towards a show that's just popping as hell. All right, we'll just put it like that. And the revelation of them just being so blunt to take off Rey Mysterio's mask and put that heat on Rusev. We were saying, Rusev is almost impossible to boo. I felt like they should have given that spot to Ethan Page, but you made a good point also as well. It's like, well, it's easy to boo Ethan. It's hard to boo Rusev, so you need to give him that heat in order to make these guys just unlikable right now until we eventually get Ethan Page turning on Rusev. But nonetheless, the fact that they did that, I was shocked. But it's a perfect setup for Chad Gable to come out there and suplex everybody to hell and return the mask back to Rey Mysterio because he understands the importance of the culture, what it is. It was a great little note that they dropped in the backstage interview with him and Dragon Lee's. Like, I know you've apologized to all the luchas, but you might want to think about to the people you hurt way before you put on that mask. So we're probably going to get a reintroduction to the Alpha Academy. Maybe we have Otis and Tozawa Maxine become lackeys of Austin Theory. And then he's like, what are you guys doing hanging with this guy? He's like, you left us, Chad. You broke our hearts. You got Otis out there playing that high school. Oh, friends hanging with bad friends kind of scenario.
What was that?
You know what I'm saying? That's my impression of Otis right there.
South Park voice and Sparky doing.
Hey, I'm just, you know how I'm saying, man. You know how it goes, man. But we got some potential right there with that storyline with Otis. Chad, you broke my heart.
I would be shook if Chad Gable does not get a shot at the IC belt at SummerSlam at some point.
At some point. This all started with his defeat to Penta, so we need to round this out.
And with him being redeemed and all of this stuff with the luchadors, it would just make sense that you're just setting up for that. He is from Minnesota as well, so he's going to be on the card. But I really am disappointed, though, because, I mean, I've said this since they took the mask off of him again. The guy needs to be in the main event. He needs to be a main event guy. He really is that good. I know they really don't want to give him that nod, but he is that good. He's Kurt Angle.
Right.
He really is Kurt Angle.
Think about the money that they passed on with that storyline as well. We talked about it yesterday.
I said it last night, and I'll say it again. They should have just had him be the dad for both of them. He should have been both of their dads. Rather than, because for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there was a storyline a long time ago with Kurt Angle and Chad Gable when he first came in as Shorty G. And sorry, you said, God, I can never remember the other guy's name, but it was
Jason Jordan.
Jason Jordan, thank you. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, tag team at the time that were essentially what the Creed brothers are. And they're just two really good physical wrestlers, old school type wrestlers, Greco-Roman, that have Olympian backgrounds. And there was a storyline that was brewing where Kurt Angle was potentially the father of one of the guys on the WWE. And they, were heavily hinting that it was going to be Chad Gable because Chad looks very much like Kurt Angle and, it would work. But no, Vince McMahon being Vince McMahon said, no, we need to twist this thing. So he chose Jason Jordan. And for those of you who don't know who Jason Jordan is an African-American man. So they just turned it and said that Kurt Angle slept with an African-American woman and Jason Jordan was the son, and it absolutely destroyed the entire storyline. It was
that was good old Vince McMahon bringing back a 20-year-old rib about Kurt Angle sleeping with just random women in college.
With Gable is if they run through promos and interviews with him and Alpha Academy. They're gonna waste so much time. And if they don't lose this, momentum that is around Gable right now, they're going to lose out on so much merch and money and stories.
Well, that's why I feel, because you need about a month's worth of work here for Chad Gable before SummerSlam. So I would assume what they're going to do is they're going to throw Penta at Rusev for a while, let Rusev start this entire mask stealing thing that has been going around that's really going to gain all the heat that they need. Maybe Ethan Page steals a couple too, but then after they handle that at the next PLE, which would probably be Night of Champions, then you're going to get Chad Gable stepping up to get that IC belt and maybe even winning it. I could genuinely see him winning that belt because of how beloved he is right now.
And the best part of Raw last night, to me anyways, was Dirty Dom coming out and standing in the ring with Oba.
JD throwing a chair shot at Oba and him.
Let's get something established here right now. If Oba is not the man 3 times over, I don't know what we're watching here. That cell with the shot and the chair, JD, it was a great segment. But also looking at the other side of that coin, we've got Dirty Dominic over here going for King of the Ring. That is our AAA Mega Champion right there. And on the flip side of that, speaking of AAA again in relations to Raw, do you guys think that the reaction to Ludwig Kaiser coming out on Raw will be equal to or greater than Chad Gable's return? And before you answer that, we've got to think about what it's setting up. You know what I mean? Down there in AAA, there's nowhere else for Grande Americano to go but to the top, and that's to that title.
Right.
Also, with the Dominic Mysterio storyline, this could possibly lead to a title versus GM, or what'd you say last night, Chris? A hair versus mask match for Dominic and Rey. Rey Mysterio currently right now is the GM of AAA, TV-wise purposes, and we got Mark Calloway down there writing that, and he's just been giving us gold. So eventually we could see something that turns into that. But nonetheless, him beating Oba without interference from Brock, I don't think so. What are you guys' what are you guys' opinion on that?
I think he finds a way to win it.
You think Dom finds a way to win?
Oh, yeah.
By hook or by crook?
He finds a way.
I don't know, dude. I think Oba's too big. I mean, you saw it
maybe
last
it's
night
Brock,
with the chair shot. Well, no, the Brock thing coming in and ruining for Oba, I totally see that happening, 110%. But that's what I'm saying. I cannot see a world where the WWE allows Dominic Mysterio to pin Oba Femi and win. There is no world.
It only
Chris.
Excuse
me. Wait. Excuse me. Before you guys answer that, how long have you been watching wrestling? Your whole life, right? Correct?
Whole life. But see, there's never been
Don't rule it out. Don't rule it out then. Don't rule it out.
A man on this trajectory, and again, I love Dominic Mysterio. I love that we're back to booing him out of stadiums when he's trying to talk. That is one of the best things about Dom. But
Great
trust
segment
me,
last night.
we're going to see him try to pin Oba, but then Oba is literally going to bench press him and throw him off.
Throw him off out of the ring.
It's not even going to be a
That good old Ultimate Warrior spot.
The only way Oba Femi the only way Dominic Mysterio wins this match is if Oba Femi gets knocked out by somebody else.
Right.
Like there's no
count
way
out. Maybe
count
disqualification.
out in this one because it's one-on-one.
Because it's not fatal 4-way.
Yeah, it's not a fatal 4-way. So now
maybe that's why. Maybe that's how.
Maybe. And
well,
again,
these fatal 4-ways have actually been quite entertaining and almost on a pay-per-view level of match quality. Not all of them, but some, which I was really hesitant about at first when they debuted this version of the King of the Ring tournament brackets for the men and the women. I was like, fatal 4-ways. And then as we progress through the card, we see how it goes from, semifinals to finals, and we whittle down the competitors, which was actually quite interesting for me this year. Just a little tidbit, sprinkle it out on there.
Well, and speaking of King of the Ring, the biggest surprise to me was the fact that Javon won that 4-way last night. Not to say he deserve it. He needed a big TV win.
And
I knew Seth wasn't going to win just because the vision was not going to allow him to win. But I thought for sure this would have gone to Tala or maybe Ricky Saints.
I was leaning on Tala.
But I love that they gave it to Javon, and we could potentially see Javon Evans as the King of the Ring. And that could be a great push for him since he's not really getting any love in any of these belt conversations. So,
yeah, definitely.
Where do you think this fits with him? Like, where does he go?
I think it's a well-needed television win. I know they've been on a great house show European circuit tour where he's been picking up some wins, but they haven't been televised. And seeing as how previously his last 2 appearances on TV, he's had some pretty brutal matches, but not the desired outcome, I'd have to say, of most of that his fans wanted to see. So it was refreshing to see him get that just a really out of nowhere victory. Which was surprising. I didn't see it coming. I really thought Saints was going to either take it or, Tala. Those guys were lined up to be great for the second round of this tournament, but I couldn't be disappointed. I couldn't at all. I was shocked. I was happy for Javon Evans, but I think
win just so they could set up the Royce Keys Tala Tonga match right
That's
afterwards.
what I thought too.
Yeah.
And set up.
That's kind of where I was hoping it would lead, but I'm not mad at all at it.
No.
Which I was going to throw in some seasoning with that, with now LA Knight back on the mic, and now him and Oos.
Screw your whole family. That was so
right.
good.
Hey, I thought he was going to say some wholesome, respectable, hey, you know what? We may have beef, but it's all good between us. No, he threw the whole screw your family and crash out Jay Uso.
Which is going to work out perfect because we talked to Royce Keys, and I think Royce takes it.
I think so, too. I really hope Royce takes this. But that's what I wanted to bring up last night, and I didn't with you, Kimble, but I want to bring up on the show real quick. The potential here that LA Knight could have against the Bloodline. I know it right now seems like he's really just taking Drew McIntyre's thing and he's just kind of taking it for himself. But we really could see a rivalry to the level of Stone Cold and Rock if they actually did this correctly. Whether you did this with LA Knight and Roman or LA Knight with Jay. Either way, I think you genuinely could get a really good rivalry out of that for a long time.
Absolutely. 100%.
Years, especially since we need to look for something beyond Roman Reigns.
One thing that got me was their in-ring conversation when Jay's blowed up from doing the double yeet. He says his promo. Prior to that, he said LA Knight said something that made me laugh to the point of almost spitting in my cup, where he said something about I can't expect for this match to just go fairly one-on-one. I can always expect, though, for Jay to have his cousin, his uncle, his grandma, his neighbor down the street, Jimmy, Jacob, Jingleheimer, Jenkins Shorts, whatever. Hey, the man, when I say has got the gift to gab and to make it roll. It's a criminal shame that we have not had a world title run with LA Knight yet. And I hope it doesn't take for him to go somewhere else for us to see that. This man is a national treasure to the point of where, for wrestling fans, that it does remind you of when you were younger and watching the Stone Colds and the Rocks and the cadences and the commandmanship of the audience's attention. That's a very rare gift for wrestlers these days, to have
And
that
my
kind of
funniest
sway
part was
and to
when
still
he,
be like dummy over. He's still
yeah,
over as hell with
some people hate
everybody,
him just
like
because
he's
of that,
just
what
been
you
there.
just said.
Yeah.
I have several wrestling friends that do not like LA Knight because he is so much like Stone Cold and The Rock together. And my funniest part
they just
was
hating.
you think,
They
when he
just
ran
hating.
it back and he said, "You think I'm really going to stand here and watch this run back again?"
And again,
Yes, that was beautiful. He did that
finally
twice.
someone does it too. I'm just like,
Somebody was like, "Hey, yo, stop this! I'm not standing here for you to just in my face and all that." No. And then he walked off and tried to get up the ramp, and then he hit him with the screw you. Come on, man. You can't say that wasn't a little sprinkle of attitude
That's
era-esque performance in it. And I hope we get more of that. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I've been bringing up when it comes to this. I would love to see LA Knight win the King of the Ring. I would, but realistically, if you could set up a feud between him and Jey Uso right now, that could be absolutely electric, and you can run that.
We could run that the rest of the year.
You really could. And it really just set up a future feud between LA Knight and the rest of the bloodline, because at some point he's going to have to run through them again. He has to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the trajectory that we're on here. And it really has gotten to a point where it seems like nobody is on the level of Roman outside of maybe a Seth Rollins. And are we really just going to sit there and wait for Seth to keep coming around to potentially take the belt off of Roman? We need somebody on the roster that's actually going to make that happen and make us believe that Roman could lose. I thought it could potentially be Jacob, but I guess it's going to have to be a LA Knight. And then real quick, before we have to let you go, because we're running out of time, I pulled this audio for you just because I was very curious to see what your thoughts were. We've talked about this man a lot in the last couple of months just because of his cooking show and all of that. But Braun Strowman went on Busted Open the other day, talked about the mask versus mask match between Ludwig Kaiser and Chad Gable, or El Grande Americano against Chad Gable. And it kind of drew something out of him. So let's hear from Braun real quick.
You want to honestly know what happened recently? That AAA match between Gable and Ludwig, that match made me feel. It made me remember why I love professional wrestling. And it made me go, I can go. There's no doubt in my mind I can go. I can take my shirt off right now and I'll show you I look better than anybody on that field.
Whoa.
Three-letter brand roster. I've been focusing on these injuries, all this other stuff. The reality of it is I miss being in the ring. I miss being in the locker room. I don't miss the rest of that comes along with it.
Do you think your schedule would allow, let's say, pie in the sky, that Tony Khan or Triple H call you and go, hey, we need this role because we just think that you can go too? Would your schedule allow for that?
A number with enough zeros behind it, my schedule will open up.
So obviously Braun Strowman is very much back, even with the leg injury and all of the nerve damage that he's already sustained. But I already brought it up how much we need somebody to actually challenge Roman Reigns. Could this be the guy?
Hey, yo, no. Back in the day, yes. But let me tell you something. Yeah, everything's set on Oba. Let me just go back to that clip right now, Chris. Sparky, you can't let this man keep getting away with this, all right? Yo, Braun Strowman, Adam, we love you. Pause on taking your shirt off mid-interview. We know you big. We know you big, bro. You like extra beefy man big. You can't just be threatening to like come out the shirt to like the interview people. Like, okay, all right, pause on that. During his run, he was legit the monster for Roman. He was an A1 nemesis for Roman in that time. But right now, he's making that USA Network TV check money. He ain't got to take a bump. He ain't got to get kicked in the face. He ain't got to be the monster among men, taking off your shirt. You know what I'm saying? Rubbing your beefcakes out on people and they going to sleep in the middle of the ring. Whatever. Braun Strowman is a multi-time world champion. He's the only, I believe, one of the first Riyadh champions when they did that Riyadh Royal Rumble thing, whatever, with the titles. And the man is accomplished and established. And yes, Tony Khan wouldn't hesitate to snatch him up If
Tony
he wanted
Khan's
to
already
be
snatching up everybody
snatched
he
up,
can.
pause. You know, this guy can still go. Pause. In those pauses, I'm saying, is that what we really want? Is that what the fans really want? Or is he just like he said, a couple of zeros make stuff go a long way? If you ain't got to, don't. But I still think that he could be utilized in wrestling in some way, shape, or form. Maybe even coaching some of these bigger guys like Tala Tonga who need some advice, who, not to say don't have it all together, but the experience on the roster when you're moving that big, it
Mhm.
would be unwise to not listen to guys that size.
No, that's fair. And honestly, there's not a lot of people that can teach you that kind of stuff unless they are that
Yeah.
size.
Yeah, and throw him in AAA and let the Undertaker
Exactly.
use him for a
I
little
think
Come
while.
on, man.
Fight
And now
Drake and
look,
Brendan did a
example.
lot
Look
there.
what they're doing with Omas down
Yeah.
in AAA. He's a heavy for Vikingo, and he becomes more intimidating and threatening every time he comes out, and they don't even have to use him like that.
Mm-mm.
It's good on the wear and tear for those big guys, those joints. You know, when you're 7'1" or 6'8", even 6'5", a heavy but lean, 280, 260, that is a huge stress on the human frame.
Mhm.
I don't care what you say. Ask some of these athletes that are in the 6'5" ranges how their knees feel when they hit about 29 to 33,
Fair.
and
No,
then get
that's
back
fair.
to us on that.
No, and you're right. I mean, and with Braun Strowman's history with the injuries and stuff like that, it would be really tough for him to come back from this. But I just like
And
the
apparently he has a problem keeping his shirt on during the interviews. He's threatening everybody to Hulk Hogan out of his shirt.
Oh,
That
he
poor
does it all the
journalist
time on
didn't
the Curtain
deserve
Show.
that.
Does he really?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't watched the show enough
Hey,
to
as
know.
long as he ain't sweating in the food when coming out of the shirt and just, oh, the duck sauce is great. Like,
Oh, he's
come
one of
on,
those guys
and
that
I
goes
rock
out
with Bron.
and gets everything on the menu,
Oh my
and
god.
it's like watching a big giant eat everything on the menu. I'm just like, okay,
Don't tell
I'm
me it's
over
like
it.
Buff Guy Feria or whatever the guy is that they're making fun
Gary.
of
He
right
does
now.
his little palate.
It takes you to Flavor
Yeah.
Town, brother.
Oh, God.
Back down Flavor Town. We have run out of time though, my friend. We will talk to you next week.
All
We
right,
gotta
guys. Well, actually, I'll see you
We'll
guys
talk to you
Oh no,
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you'll be with us tomorrow when Rhea gets here at 7:00.
Yeah, we'll be live in studio hunting some Skulk Hawks there, just in case he gets a little crazy. All right, we bringing out Crocodile Hunter for Scott.
And once again, if you guys have any questions for Rhea or Liv Morgan, feel free to text them in 661-842-2000. Sparky is taking your questions right now, or feel free to put it in the comment section down below on YouTube, or feel free to also reach out to us in any DM form. We're on any social media site, Facebook, YouTube, does not matter, Instagram. We are all over the place, and we will hopefully be able to ask all of them, but we have a limited time with these wrestlers, so obviously we want to get as much as we can. So, my friend, thank you so much for your time. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early.
No problem. All right, everybody. That was your warning shot. Listen to the early bird special. Bow.
Let's take a break. We'll be back with some more stuff on the other side. This is the early bird special on KGEO Sports Talk. He's next on the list, hopefully. I would Danhausen. I throw it out there in the ether.
The Knicks fans don't kill him before them.
Who kidding? Get him out of New York.
And a big shout out to our boys over at Bentley Bowls. They are not going to make it as they are busy guys, but if you are not following them on Instagram or Facebook, look up the Bentley Bowls, and they have a Yelp event coming up Thursday night, kind of welcoming into the downtown Bakersfield area.
Sweet.
As they have moved over to the kitchen right behind the Woolworth building, and they're teaming up with Reverb Coffee, the best coffee in town. If you drink coffee, Reverb Coffee, and the Woolworth Luncheonette. They're all teaming up Thursday night. Go out there, get some chicken, and support our guys.
And I gotta go down there and get in there and try these bowls, man. I've obviously tried their food at Mac and Cheese Fest, and it was fantastic. And I'm very excited to see what the storefront's going to look like. But we have a ton of stories we can get to real quick before we get out of here for the day. We got to give you an update on this Jonathan Cooper situation. Jonathan Cooper being the linebacker for the Denver Broncos that Sparky informed us yesterday that he ate his girlfriend's phone. Not fully, supposedly. Reading into this, so right now he is facing misdemeanor charges of, I apologize, I lost it.
How's that misdemeanor? What is the difference between a misdemeanor and felony these days?
I might be wrong on the misdemeanor now.
No, I see it too. It's a misdemeanor. But
Let's see. Suspicion of criminal mischief with a domestic violence enhancer. So they didn't necessarily harm each other, but it was a fight that reached a point where they both had to be arrested, essentially. And it was over cell phones. She was claiming that Cooper was cheating, took his phone, threw it across the room, destroying his phone. So he, in retaliation, took her phone, and apparently, instead of just throwing it across the room like she did, took a big old bite out of it and disabling, well, they said, quote unquote, disabling damage to the phone. So basically, he bit it so hard that it can no longer be used.
How the hell do you do that?
Again, I still have to highlight, this is where we're at in America. Is that your first thought was, I'm going to take a bite out of my girlfriend's phone? Look.
You couldn't make it up.
You really couldn't. But all of this stems around the two of them thinking one is cheating on the other, in which obviously there could be proof if you didn't destroy each other's cell phones. But again, it just highlights how crazy these situations are for these guys outside and off the field, and especially during the off season. And it sucks to see, because Cooper is a fantastic outside linebacker for a defense that was historically good last year. And the last thing I want to see is the Denver Broncos take a massive step backwards. If I'm being honest, I was really excited to see them kind of take a step forward and somebody step up in the AFC West that's actually going to be able to take on a Chiefs team and give them some hell. But
the real question is how healthy can Knicks be with those knees?
Yeah, no kidding. Or is it ankle or is it knees?
Either one.
I'm pretty sure it was either way. You're right. But it sucks when you see situations like this, because clearly this is just a domestic dispute that never really got to the point of harming each other. Although for some reason, and this is weird too, it says that he braced his neck against her neck. Don't know exactly what that means, but I assume that is just like to explain some sort of bruising that maybe is on her neck. Maybe he's saying, hey, I didn't hit her or choke her. That was when she was trying to get my phone. I held her hand up and our necks made contact or something. I don't know. But it's still something I have to highlight, that we have a mental health thing here that we've got to address. And I know, again, people get in fights all the time in relationships. I realize that there, especially with athletes, there are a lot of people that get, they are seen as cheaters, or, they're being, I can't think of the word right now and I don't know why, but basically, this is one of those situations that a lot of people have gone through, and it sucks that it reached this height, but we have to figure out a way that we can sit down and actually talk to these guys and say, hey, you should really, find a way to disengage with these kind of people and move on from this kind of a situation. If she's saying you're cheating, prove to her you're not cheating. It's pretty simple. Just show her the cell phone, say, you're crazy. Look at this. There's no text messages. There's no calls. Don't know where you could think I'm being, unloyal to you. I just can't understand why things have to reach this point where you're biting your girlfriend's cell phone. I'd still have to explain that to me. The other better note, though, out of the NFL, the Chiefs have found themselves a cornerback in an old cornerback they used to have. Ladarius Sneed will be going back to the Chiefs on a 1-year deal. They're hoping that this is going to reignite that secondary and get it back to what it once was after trading away one of their best corners and losing the other one to the same team they traded away the first corner to. But Ladarius Sneed will be coming in, or I'm sorry, L'Jarius Sneed will be coming in on a secondary that desperately needs a cornerback. Does this move the needle for them, though, in your opinion, my friend? Because, I mean, the Chiefs are always going to be contenders regardless, just because Patrick Mahomes is playing on this team. But they need a defense. They need that same kind of defensive firepower that they're used to, and Chris Jones can't do it by himself.
I don't see it.
No?
Not with Sneed. I mean, Sneed's played, 10, 12 games in the last couple of years.
True.
I just don't think he is a complement of what you lost, but I think it's a body for sure. And he knows the defense, and if he could step in and take care of part of the field, then that he's doing his job. But you're not getting the guy that you let go.
I don't see, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well. But he's only 29 years old. He's coming off a couple bad years with the Tennessee Titans. That's absolutely fair.
Injuries.
I would only assume, though, they're going to have some sort of idea. Spagnuolo's going to find something to make this defense work, and he's going to be a central part of it. I don't know if they're going to have that's possible. I mean, look what they did with Tyrann Mathieu back there.
Right.
And if you have somebody with the mind that knows the defense very well,
I like it
could
better.
complement. Hey, really, honestly, I kind of do too. But I know they need the help at the cornerback position more than anything, and we'll see what happens. But I think this could potentially help them at least get going in the right direction defensively, because it's going to be a rough year for the Chiefs if they don't figure that out. But guys like Steve Smith were on ESPN yesterday, and this is what he had to say. They were more talking about what happens when Patrick Mahomes comes back and how quickly he may come back. But Steve believes that the success for the Chiefs may not even be on Patrick Mahomes' back. Let's hear from Steve Smith.
Do you believe the Chiefs are Super Bowl contenders with a healthy Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, Patrick Mahomes can spin the football, right? And having ACL, that doesn't really affect him. I can't say right now, based off watching that, you can sit there and say that they filled all the holes defensively. And the biggest issue, why I don't believe right now that they are Super Bowl contenders, is there's a lot of question marks in that wide receiver room.
Yes.
Right? You got Rashee Rice. How long is his suspension? What is it going to look like? Is he a guy who can get out of his own way? The speed merchant of Xavier Worthy, he's excellent. But his speed has not equaled up to 1,000 yards or any touchdowns, right? So they need to figure out, and then obviously having a Travis Kelce in his last couple of years. So they need to figure out offensively, what is their identity? The best part about understanding what their identity is buying and acquiring Kenneth Walker III, where they can run the football. When they run the football, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're a different team. And he lets Spags be Spags on the defense. He's always going to be creative. He's going to take guys that people don't necessarily deem as successful, and he's going to do some things. But running the football, and they're back in the hunt.
He believes that the running game is going to be the game changer for the Chiefs this year. Everybody obviously assumes that it's going to be the pass game. I would honestly kind of more agree with him. I think if you're going to have success, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to change something up on this offensive side and get yourself to be a little more balanced, because if you can give Patrick Mahomes more time to throw the football, he's going to show exactly what happens to teams that let him sit back there and throw a football.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think the Chiefs should learn or should be doing more of what Steve Smith is claiming and focusing maybe more on the run game rather than the pass game?
I think the run game will definitely, not only just Walker, but the rest of that running back room. I think that they're going to be a run-heavy team, which is only going to make Mahomes that much more dangerous with, play actions and all sorts of stuff. So I think the Chiefs will be in the hunt, depending on how healthy, Mahomes is. I don't see them as a Super Bowl favorite. I know we had a text that came in that said that he thinks the Chargers take the West. I personally am not ready to jump on that bandwagon. I still have that nasty taste in my mouth with Mike McDaniel, and I still think defenses kind of led into knowing what McDaniel does.
Right.
And if Herbert can't stay healthy and some of these guys don't step up, I don't see the Chargers really taking a step forward either.
I don't think it's necessarily Herbert that needs to stay healthy. It's that offensive line.
Right.
If they can't keep the tackles healthy, you guys are absolutely at a loss, because if you had the full offensive line, the Chargers would have looked fantastic last season, and Herbert wouldn't have had to run so much and wouldn't have had the season that he had. He would have probably looked like an MVP. But for the Chargers, I think that it's more based around that, is just the health, like you said. And will this actually work under Harbaugh? I mean, I'm not sure exactly what everybody is believing in Jim's coaching regimen at this point. I love Jim Harbaugh. Don't get me wrong. I love both the Harbaugh brothers, but they've only really had a short amount of success in their long tenures as coaches. And it doesn't work all the time. It really doesn't. And most of these other coaches that are having more success are doing things differently than they are. So I don't really understand how everybody looks at him and says, this is the golden boy.
Right.
I really don't.
And it's just like the other Harbaugh over at the Giants. I mean, they've dropped a few players in just a couple of weeks of, unpadded camp, and Abdul Carter went down with an injury yesterday. Luckily, some news came out and saying it wasn't anything that's going to keep him out of regular season game, but it's still kind of scary when big names have been dropped. This will be the third or fourth defensive player, big name defensive player guy that has went down with injuries. And another story I wanted to throw out, we did get 2 other texts, well, I'll read real quick. The other one says, these stories in the NFL are getting wilder and weirder every week.
Sorry. That's why we have to highlight them half the time, because I don't believe them most of the time.
The other one says, the wedding between Kelsey and Taylor Swift is going to be the most watched PLE of the year.
It really is. And I hate to admit that. I don't think I'll actually watch it, if I'm being honest. I probably will just wait for highlights on Instagram. But
SportsCenter.
Yeah, SportsCenter, exactly. But again, it's gonna be the most watched thing this entire year. You're absolutely right. Either if it's on streaming, or like I said, they do a docu-series on this thing and they just tell you how it all happened, how Travis proposed and all of this, because we actually have never seen that. I don't think we actually know how that happened, or at least I am not connected enough to this story to really care. But at this point, it's going to be the most watched thing. It's going to be more watched than probably any Chiefs game that's actually going to be watched this year. So,
and just some side note that I was prepping for the show, and I saw, Tom Brady is coming out with his own coconut water.
God, that's the most Tom Brady thing
it is called Good Nut. I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. I swear.
Shut your mouth. They allowed him to do that?
He's releasing some new coconut water called Good Nut.
Good old Good Nut, huh?
Oh
Go get you some Brady Good Nut, man. That's what everybody in New England wants right now, is some Brady Good Nut.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And he's trademarked it. It will go on sale here very, very soon.
You know what? That's almost as good as our own JR Flores' Foo Kits. The pho, the pho kits, PHO, get it? Yeah, that's the soup. Again, how do you allow someone to no
Tom Brady? Who's going to say no to Tom Brady?
So wait, you're going to sit there and tell me when we're at the Raider games this year, because it's going to be all over Allegiant Stadium, we're going to be standing next to big old billboards that say Good Nut on it?
Yep, with that goofy nut.
Allegiant Stadium brought to you by Good Nut. Oh my God. What are we doing? What are we doing?
I know what we'll be doing tomorrow morning.
Oh, yes, we will. Again, join us tomorrow morning. Rhea Ripley will be joining us. Mommy herself will be joining us via video, so we'll be able to talk to her for the first 10 minutes. Again, if you have any questions, feel free. Reach out to us on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all of them, Instagram. Just send us a message. It'll pop up. We will give you a thumbs up, and we'll try to get to everybody's questions as much as we can, for as long as we can.
Of course.
We have at least 10 minutes with her. Hopefully we are, graced with a little bit more time if she's having enough of a good time. But
and hopefully you download that DraftKings app and use that promo code Sports Talk KGO.
Do what Sparky did, man. You got the Stanley Cup game tonight. We got more basketball for you on Wednesday. Apologies. Not today, tomorrow. We'll get to all of that as well, 7 to 9 a.m. as we always do. But until then, Sparky, let's get out of here.